Good afternoon, shoppers. Welcome to my first YouTube Live. It's Christmas Eve 2023, Australia, New South Wales, a little town, little village actually called Nimmitabel. And I'm just up on the back of our property. We've got 100 acres on the edge of Nimmitabel where we have our businesses. We have a few different businesses, and we've also got some wild brumbies. Don't tell anyone. Come on. No, we rescued some wild brumbies from up in the national park, Kosciuszko National Park, and take the sunnies off. Not too glary today. And people have said we want more animal videos, so I'll turn the camera around if I can. Yep, here we can. I can, and I'll introduce you all, a new audience. Oops, that didn't work. Turn around. Here we go. Dun, dun, dun. Make you famous, mate. Come on. So about 6 weeks, I think we've had these fellows. We've got 6 boys, and we've just had breakfast, check up. They're just about ready to lie down for a snooze, but there's storms brewing in the background. You can see the dark clouds. And come on. The rest of all hanging around the salt block. I've got a mineral block, and so they're all giving it a bash. But there's a really interesting pecking order. So there's actually 10. You'll be able to count. There's 10 horses, and the big ones, there are 16 and a half hands or so. The big ones are actually domesticated. My friend Sandy's horses. She bought them up because where she lives down the coast, there was a bit of a drought happening and not much grass. We've got lots of grass. And so we've been able to use the 4 really big boys to help socialise and introduce the 6 wild fellows. And they range in age from 4 to around about 12 months. The youngest about 12 months. And this fellow here is one of the younger ones. So we had to teach them fences, and so you can see the white bags that we put up. A bit battered in the wind now, but we put bags up on the high wire to let them know that there was a fence. And all of them got some nose scratches, obviously tangling with the barbed wire. And within about 3 days of being here, this one, he's a bit shy sometimes. Come on. Come on. They were able to be fed out of my kids' hands. So for a new YouTube audience, my name is Andrew and my nickname is Scrappy. I have a scrap metal business. I've been doing scrap metal for 30 years now. I started when I was 20. I'm 50. And I live at Nimmitabel with my wife, Elisa, and in a couple of days' time, we'll clock up 17 years married. So our anniversary is just before the New Year's. And we've been in Nimmitabel and the Monero for just over 17 years. And as well as horses, we have 5 kids, and we homeschool them. We involve them in everything that we do, and scrap metal is a fantastic business. It's hard work. It's really physical work, and you're always sort of reinvesting in your own business. So you make money, but you spend money, and it's the grass is always greener problem. You know, there's a better machine. I need a better machine to do this, or here I'll do this project and I need a machine or an excavator or another forklift. So, and you know, we've done power stations. We're particularly skilled at knocking down high voltage substations and pulling them down while they're live, pulling out bits of them while they're live. It's sort of where I specialise. I'm an electrical fitter by trade, meaning I'm an electrician. And then people say, oh, okay, well, what does the fitter bit mean? Like, well, we make shit fit. We make electrical shit fit into boxes that doesn't look like it would fit in. It's not quite true. It's part of the job. So an electrical fitter means that I'm an electrician, so I can do house, domestic, commercial, industrial. I did engineering at night school, so I've got a fairly high level of skill. And the fitter part of the electrical fitter was that we had to also do boiler making and fitting and machining as part of our trade. So it's a fairly wide discipline that I did with my trade, which is funny choice to look back 32 years, actually 33 years since I did my apprenticeship, and I chose to do an apprenticeship instead of going to uni to do a degree, to do an apprenticeship and to be given all those skills. And here we are 33 years down the track, and we've done some very interesting things. We helped demolish a TV station, and that was during the COVID silliness when everything was locked down and you weren't allowed to have visitors, so we had to work out how to get some temporary workers in and get all the work done really quickly in amongst COVID lockdowns. And I had my kids there, and we just set up swags in the old TV station, did all the work and slept in the old offices. So we're quite reactive people. We're quite connected, Lisa and I. We know a lot of people. We've done a lot of things. We've gone a lot of places. And also wanted to shout out a massive thank you to my new YouTube family, audience, as it were. 10, 15 years I think I've been on YouTube, and I never got more than about 300 people to follow my little channel. And I just put irreverent shit up there. I've got to admit, I'm mostly focused on using Facebook, and last year Facebook completely deleted everything of me. Every existence of me gone. Because I was quite outspoken during the COVID silliness. I am not vaccinated. I won't get vaccinated. Not for this COVID nonsense anyway. I've had tetanus shots and shit like that. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, as the claim is made, but I didn't agree with the COVID agenda, and so I didn't succumb or comply. And I was quite involved in a lot of the protests, and drove my truck in the protests and met up with all the various people, and I did quite a lot of things. I'm not shy at sharing my opinion. I have spent 10 years running as an independent candidate here in this part of Australia, to mixed response, and no, I never got elected, but I said I'm not stupid. You're never going to get elected. But it's about driving change and helping to massage the public debate. And I bring a lot of accountability to things. I do quite a bit of research. I have a lot of conversations. I know a lot of people, and I try to break through the bullshit and the lies and tell the truth, tell it like it is. And so I've also spent quite a lot of time with the wild brumby debate. And if you're overseas and you don't really know what that is, so Australia is as you can imagine, it's a big country. Not a lot of people here. It's one of the least populated continents, and it's basically a big island. It's about 4.5 days driving wide, and about 5 days, maybe even 6, driving top to bottom. It's as big as continental America, basically. And we have a lot of national parks, and there's a particular one up in the Alps, in the snowy mountains, called Kosciuszko, or Kosciuszko, after the Polish explorer. And Kosciuszko National Park encompasses the New South Wales part of the higher bits of the Great Dividing Range, and the snowy mountains. They're not quite mountainy like New Zealand or America, but Australian mountains, I suppose. about 2,400 metres is the highest above sea level, and where I'm sitting here is 1,100 metres above sea level. So we are on the eastern edge of the Great Dividing Range, and we get snow here. And up in the Kosciuszko National Park, what we call the Snowy Mountains, there are wild horses, exactly like you just saw. Brumbies, mixed breeds. There's a whole range of different breeds that have basically been running up there since the first settlers arrived in this area in the 1820s, 1830s. So there was first documented exploring was obviously Kosciuszko, but Kosciuszko travelled up, I think, from memory, the western side of the mountain to the highest peak. So he came up that Albury-Gundagai side. Where I am, you're coming up on the east. I'm on the eastern flanks of the mountain range, and that wasn't travelled up until the 1832 or something. There was a surveying party, and there's a really fantastic history. Very, very rich, short timeline, but very rich history. Gold mines, just 10 k's from where I'm sitting and even closer. A little bit of alluvial gold, Chinese miners, some roads built by the Chinese miners in the 1850s. This property I'm sitting on was actually surveyed and created in 1853, and the one just in front of me was created in 1883. I've got the original maps, copies of the original maps, and some of the notations for all of that when the surveyors started carving the place up, settlers moved in. And we are about an hour's drive due east down the mountain range. So you go to about 1,100, 1,200 metres, and then you drop down to basically sea level very quickly. So we get a lot of mixed weather, and to the south is a bit over an hour and a half to the Victorian border. To the north is an hour and a half to Canberra, and to the west is an hour and a half to the snow in the Snowy Mountains. About an hour to Jindabyne, hour and a half to the ski fields. And we like it here. It's quiet, we don't have any neighbours, we're on a highway, we have highway frontage to our property with our business, and it's very mixed. Cold in the winter, but we don't get the hot in the summer. We don't get above 30, 33 degrees Celsius very often. Might get 38 on a screaming hot day, but it's pretty rare. But we get a lot more average rain. We've got good grass. We've got some of the best soil. Nimmitabel is renowned for some of the best soil in the world, and so it's quite a resilient, strong, decomposed basalt soil. And because of our proximity to the sea, the coast, we get a lot of interference weather where the hot winds above us come across and hit the edge of the escarpment, the Great Dividing Range edge, and that mixes with the colder air coming underneath down from the mountains, and then the humid, moisture-laden air crashes with it. The water condenses out and becomes rain, and in a roundabout way we like it. We've got pretty good freedom. We've got a shitty council, but yeah, most of Australia has got shitty councils, unfortunately. It's an enduring battle. So if you look into my YouTube channel, you'll see there's some council videos and what have you. They are up as markers, because we caught our council editing the live stream videos of their meetings, and so I record them and upload them so that there is unedited, factual versions of council meetings of what was said. And that's a whole long discussion. But animals, we've been asked to do more animal videos, and I just wanted to do one video to sort of introduce myself and thank you all for enjoying the removing a paralysis tick off a blue-tongued lizard video that I put up a couple of weeks ago just for fun. I've actually done that for years. It's just part of that, teaching my kids how to engage with animals and what to look for. And so we have quite a lot of blue-tongued lizards around our property. We have brown snakes. We've got a range of different snakes, mostly brown snakes, and they're really, really venomous, can be quite aggressive, but generally not too bad. So my kids are have been taught not to be afraid of snakes, but also how to behave around them. And quite often blue tongues with their tails sticking out can you can mistake them for a snake. And when they were little, they used to love catching the blue tongues and watching where they scurry off to. They come out and sunbake. And so I'd catch them and look at them, and I noticed they would have ticks in their ears and occasionally ticks in behind their legs. And I've done videos with my little helpers, my kids, for years and years and years. I've done it. And then, of course, most of them I posted on Facebook, and they've all been removed and deleted. So I just threw that one up just for fun. And so my kids, my eldest was videoing, the youngest was holding it, and the youngest, I have twins for my youngest kids, they're 6. They had never done it before, and the experience of holding a blue tongue and helping pull ticks off and learn what a tick is, and look at them in the ears and not be afraid to be bitten by the blue tongue. That was a little experience. And wow, 1.4 million views in 3 weeks. We've also done that with echidnas. We have quite a few echidnas here. We've got kangaroos. We have occasional deer come through. We've got quite a lot of kangaroos that sort of mosey through the paddocks, and echidnas. And we've had baby echidnas. They get ticks on them as well. They're a bit harder to deal with. They curl up into a ball and they're very spiky. But we have pulled the ticks off them, and generally they're accepted. Australian native animals are accepted to be immune to the paralysis tick. But if you get a paralysis tick on you and you don't know about it, and it does happen, people have had them in their nose, they've had them in the ears, they've had them in other sort of areas of the body where you might not notice, in the scalp, obviously, crevices. Larger people quite often have sort of, it sounds a bit crude, but parts of their body that they don't really check, and the tick hides in the gap, in the crevice. They secrete a toxin which will kill the host. Where am I located now, Eric? I am in Nimmitabel, Nimmitabel, which is in southern New South Wales in Australia. And the ticks get onto your pet dog, and you give it about a week, the dog will be really sick. And if you don't find it or notice it, same thing, can be in the nose, can be deep in the ears, in the gaps of the legs and what have you, up around the tail, the dog will die. So they're not really prolific up here in the high country. We call this the high country. They're not really prolific. Down the coast, ticks can be really bad. And I've seen instances where you go down for a weekend, your dog has hundreds and hundreds of ticks on it, mainly little bush ticks and the occasional paralysis tick. And you can spend hours trying to pluck them off. It's a lot of work. I have personally done that with a previous dog that I had, and it's a pain in the ass to deal with it, but you can get a tick wash washed. It's just coal tarry stuff. It's the most awful smell. So you wash your dog in it and all the ticks will die. But the ticks are slowly building an immunity, and so a lot of people didn't think that ticks could live in the high country at 1,100 metres above sea level. And I had a lot of people challenge me in the beginning and said, no, bullshit, they're not paralysis ticks. So I did send them off to a laboratory people in Sydney via a local vet, because a local vet said, nah, we don't have paralysis ticks up here. I said, well, here's a jar of them. And he sent them up to this lab in Sydney, and they came back and went, yep, they are paralysis ticks. And they get quite fat. You'll see in the video, they look like peas when they're really fat. But before they get fat, they are very tiny. And that's why they are incredibly hard to spot sometimes. It's only when they get fat that you can find them or feel them when you're patting your dog. So, a bit of public awareness. I'll keep my eye out for an echidna. I'll try and dig up an old echidna video. I've done a few of those, particularly when they wee all over us and poo all over us as we're pulling the ticks off. They're really cute. Echidnas are fantastically cute when you get them to relax and their little head comes out. I'm all about public engagement and sharing, I'm not after anything in particular. I'm not a hero. I'm just an average, everyday Aussie bloke, a dad with a bunch of kids. And I share opinions and I swear too much and I can be a bit rough and I can be uncouth. But I'm not stupid. I'm no idiot. And I hope you enjoy following along. And I'm quite responsive. If you want me to do a video on something, happy to. Doesn't matter what it is. So I've been asked to do videos up in the snowy mountains. I've done videos of the wild horses. I've done videos mainly on Facebook, as that YouTube never seemed to work all that well for me, which was weird. Videos on the creeks, undoing the false allegations that the horses do damage. I can do videos here and show you what it looks like after 6 weeks with 10 horses here. And it's not that bad. Yeah, there's a track. There's a bit of a track up the hill that they walk on when they come from down the bottom up to here. We've got a pretty big hill that we're part of our property. And they come running up it, and of course they dislodge the ground and they make a track. But I can walk over a little bit different area and show you the wombat track. Same thing. The wombat walks the same track every day, and it's a worn track in the ground from that wombat. That's just how it is. And I guess, again, for anyone internationally watching this video, the issue we have, I sort of got off track a bit, I guess, with the horses, these wild horses that live in our national park. The greenies, the lefties, the Labor and the Greens party, they want them all dead. They don't want them removed. They want them dead. And they are actively getting up in helicopters now and shooting them from helicopters. And it's worse than you think, because they didn't just sort of shoot them with a crack shot. No. They kept shooting them up to 15 times per horse. 15 bullets in a horse. And it's in a government report paper that was published on the 6th of December, which I did a Facebook video. I'll load it up. It's really cruel. It's really shocking. And it's all the worse because the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, the RSPCA, no less, was in an observing position in a third helicopter. So the National Parks and Wildlife Association service used their 2 flagship helicopters with 2 shooters in each chopper, shooting horses, sneaking up behind them and swooping down. If you know what a magpie is, one of Australia's birds, they sort of swoop from behind and they swoop you. Well, that's what the National Park shooters did from a helicopter with 7.62 NATO semi-automatic rifles, and just kept plugging away on the horses until they realised, yeah, I reckon that one's dead. Oh, it's moving. It might not be dead. Hit it a couple of more times. Bang, bang, bang. Up to 15 times. They shot pregnant mares with in utero foals in their bellies, and they just plugged them full of bullets. It's disgusting. It's cruel. It's not who we are as a people. And yet it's our government. The left, the ones that want gender-neutral toilets, the ones that say men can be women and women can be men, the ones that say kids can be cats at school if they want to be cats. Those people, the left. The ones that are all about climate change and saving the planet and reducing carbon, but all want to fly to Davos or Switzerland or wherever the COP bloody gatherings are. You know, the hypocrites, basically. Not that I'm a fan of either side of politics, I'm a centrist. But the ones that are all about tolerance and inclusion and everybody wins a medal, those types of people are the ones plugging horses full of bullets. And so these guys have been basically saved from being shot. And there's a lot of people like me doing it. I never grew up with horses. I grew up around horses, but never with horses. I didn't know what to do, but a good friend of mine was able to help us. And so we got her horses and her helping us. And so we can now walk around these blokes and pat them. There's one standing over here having a snooze. I can walk over to him and pat him. 6 weeks ago, he'd never met a human. So that's pretty cool. So we want to encourage people to rescue a brumby, oppose the brumbies being shot. And there is, which I'll talk about separately, there is a fundraiser for a community-led count, a new way of counting how many horses are in the wild, because we have specific legislation that protects some of the heritage breeds, the heritage value of various breeds, and allows for a number of horses to remain in the national park where they would not normally be allowed to be. And that number is 3,000. And the question is, how many actually are there in the park? The government reckons there's up to 22,000. And if that were the case, you'd see them everywhere, and you don't. And some of the brumby people say there's less than 500, but they've just shot 2,000 in the last year. So that number's not right either. Somewhere in between, and we need to find out. So I'll do a separate video chat about that. So that's a fundraiser for an authoritative count using a fixed wing aircraft flying about 1,000 meters above the ground, so not to disturb the wild horses, but to use high resolution video capture along with thermal imagery. And they should be able to pick up the kangaroos, the deer, any other animals and horses, and then work about setting up a discrimination regime to say that's a deer, that's a horse, that's a kangaroo, and then to look at the horse numbers with regards to grouping. So the existing groupings, there's a group of 10 here. When you watch this group of 10, they break down into several groups of 3. That's their little pairing up mechanisms. So when you count, quite often people count clusters of horses. So what's a cluster? A cluster is more than one, obviously, but a cluster can be up to 20. So by having publicly available information, so I'm assuming, I'm hoping that these videos and the thermal imagery videos and the flight log, everything will be on the table, publicly available for everybody to go over. And that's a good move. And if the government would sit down at that same table with us, it's all about working together for a common end. The horses are not in every part of the park, and we don't want them to be in every part of the park, but there are some part of the parks where the horses are happy. There's a shitload of grass up there that needs managing. It's all fire-prone land normally, and that's where we work together. Let's be pragmatic about this and find a common outcome. I'm all about mutual common outcomes, mutual benefit. I can be a bit cruel, I can be a bit rude, I can get things wrong now and again, I can say the wrong thing. Yep, I'm just human. But I got a pretty sharp brain, and I'm quite happy to I say out loud what a lot of people think. Not a lot of people have got courage these days. I got plenty, and I'll say out loud what a lot of people think. It's one of my jobs that somehow the universe might have given to me, for right or for wrong, for good or for bad. But 30 minutes, I'll wrap it up. Let's go and say hi to Denny, shall we? If we can get the camera to turn around. Can we come and say hello, Denny? You can see a bit of my scope things. Come on. Come on, Denny. Come on. I just got my hand out for him so he knows he's a bit of a harder one to crack, this one. Come on. He doesn't necessarily embrace pats until the secret is that I walk past him and ignore him. And if I walk past and ignore him, turn the camera around, he'll probably come up now and put his head on my shoulder. He's a bit cheeky sometimes. But I think he's been waiting for his turn on the lick block. There you go. Denny. Oh. Oh, that's some funny looks. How are you, mate? Hey? He gets a little bit nibbly sometimes. Can I give you a pat? Can I give you a pat? Good boy. Denny and I are actually good friends. We just take a little bit of time. He's got a different personality to the others, but anyway. Now look at that. Ugh. From where are my sunnies? He fogs them up. Now this guy was in the bush, never met humans 6 weeks ago. Hey, look at that. Look at that. And people want to say that he's a feral horse, a wild horse. Same with some of these others. Hey, so he's pretty good. Look at that. 6, maybe, so I can't remember the date, 6 weeks, 7 weeks or something. And here he is. Yeah, that's you on the phone there, mate. That's you. Hey? I can pat him now and I can run my hand down his leg. Lugs up off his neck. There he is. Yeah. I don't quite know what it is, but this one my kids called him Denny. The kids named them all. How's that? 6 weeks. I'm going to put my arm around him. Look at that. Oh, big lightning bolt there. No wonder the horses are a little bit touchy because of the storm that's coming. And they're all loving. I'll show you. Oh, there it is. There. See that thing on the ground? It's a salt block, a lick block. So that's why they're all just a little bit touchy today. Hey, Jack. This one's called Jack. Hey, Jack. Jack's been the hardest to work with because he's the oldest. He was about 4. Come on. Hello. This one's cute. Hey, come on. Come on. And these fellas, these are the monsters. This one here is 16.5 hands. Come on. But these are, my friends had these horses for 17 years. And this one's huge, aren't you, mate? This is the one I said you should look into a horse's eye because they see so much more of us than we do. They're just interesting creatures. He's a big one, this one. I mean, this is, I'm 5'10", and that's the height of my nose right there. What's up? You got an itchy leg? Right. So yes, thanks for tuning in and watching along. A couple of our other ones. They're going to lick that thing till it's nothing left. This one's a big one, aren't you, mate? This one's one of the boss ones. He's the second in charge, I think. He's just all muscles. He's just all muscles. So there we go. More animal videos and a little bit about me as an introduction. So again, thank you all very much. And you'll probably hear me say "G'day shoppers" at the start of my videos because I've been saying that for years as well. And it's just one of those jokes where it's a bit like a telemarketer. But wait, there's more, and you get a set of free steak knives with every video. But if I don't say "G'day shoppers" at the beginning of my video, I get messages saying, "Hey, where's the G'day shoppers?" So it's quite fun. Thank you all. Merry Christmas. Christmas Eve. I'm going to go and get undercover because it's about to piss down with rain. And The next week's meant to be just rain, 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 rain for us. So expecting Christmas Day to be a bit damp. But anyway, I wish you generally all of you, you and your families, wherever you are around the world, a Merry Christmas. And if you find yourself in Australia, come and say good day. Plenty of room over here in Nimmitabel. We'll show you around. And you'll be surprised at some of the crazy shit we've got in our scrapyard. Ciao.